Today we're going to be tying a modified Possie Bugger with some kind of neat new additions. To start with, we have a 3761 hook here with a brand new hairline dubbing rainbow multi-hued bead. Kind of a neat deal, throws off some different colors in the water, not just a single gold or copper bead. So we'll be starting with some 6/0 black uni thread. Going to take that all the way back down to the bend of the hook. Australian possum fur. We're going to use this as the tail. So we'll take off a small gather of the hair here. Kind of measure that. We want that length of that to be about an eighth of the hook shank length. Not scientific, just a little clump of hair on there, gives you a little bit extra wiggle. Lock that down. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some Mirage Pearl Mylar. A little bit different than just standard Flashaboo. Has a slightly different coloration to it. So in these Possie Bugger patterns we usually tie 2 strands on either side of the tail. So I'll tie this one in on this side. And then I will tie in on the other side, about the same length. And on this piece, I actually leave it whole. I'm not going to snip it right away because in just a minute we're going to use it as a rib. It's going to make a nice shiny highlight on the side.
What is it about this Possie Bugger, Barry? Why does it work?
Well, I think that as the bugger name kind of suggests, like with a woolly bugger, it doesn't really look like any one thing in particular, but it does look like a whole bunch of things. So, I mean, maybe they're eating it as a caddis pupa, which it looks very much like, but perhaps they're eating it as a minnow because it's got the extra flash in there. It's just got a real good color scheme and lots of things that are moving, which we're actually going to build upon on this particular fly. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dub a body with UV tan ice dub. Great stuff. We've mentioned in previous blogs the effectiveness of this UV coloration. We started that this spring with the UV March Brown Cahill. It was a fantastic fly. Throughout the summer I've had a chance to experiment with a bunch of different configurations in that UV coloration, and I'm here to tell you, there's something about it. It catches more fish than standard colors. Maybe they see it better, maybe it works better in a fish's eye or whatever the case may be, but for whatever reason, they sure do seem to eat these UV flies. So I did leave one aspect out here, and I have to just kind of tie in this length of wire and then redub over it a little bit. I forgot my copper wire there, which is going to help reinforce that strand of crystal flash. Small setback.
And you could add weight to this thing depending on your flow or...
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this would be a great opportunity to use a little bit of lead or lead-free wire in there. That way you could get the neat light effects of that rainbow bead without sacrificing the effect. So I'm going to just wrap over with that Flashaboo, with the Mirage. Then I'm going to reinforce those wraps with just a little bit of copper wire. So the next thing I'm going to do is tie in some barred pearl crazy legs. Tie in a set on each side. Length is about an inch and a half per, and you can always trim them down. Better to have a little bit too much than too little. So I've got them cinched down in the center there, and now I'm going to take just a little bit more of that UV tan dubbing, just kind of come over the top of it. Then the next thing I'm going to do in classic Possie Bugger fashion is to add a little hackle of Hungarian partridge. We'll be tying that in classic wet fly style from the tip. Grab the stem here of that with my hackle plier. Make a wrap or two. Just take my fingers and get all those materials kind of back and out to the side so that we got a little bit more mass and movement. Last thing I'm going to do is build up the black collar of the Possie Bugger. And again, this is kind of that Peking caddis type of thing. Most caddis species have a slightly darker head than they do on other bugs. And maybe this is just one more of those little trigger points that's going to help the fish kind of target that fly or identify what it is. We'll add just a little bit more on there. Last but not least, we're going to take the handy dandy whip finish tool. Seal that baby up there nice and tight, cinch it down. And there you have a completed, modified rainbow bead Possie Bugger with the UV body and the mirage accent. It's a new favorite of ours here at the Caddisfly, and I hope it is one of yours too.